Hi, it's David Gomm in the Stained Glass Studio, and today we're going to talk about tinning the pieces that you just foiled. Now, this is nuts. You just don't feel like you need that much instruction on tinning, but it is important. You want to make sure and tin all of your pieces, because as you put three-dimensional pieces together, sometimes you find that it's really difficult to tin a piece that you forgot about. So here we go. We're going to go tin, and I think you're going to enjoy it. Okay, now we're going to spend some time soldering on this thing, and this is really the biggest part of making a jewelry box, because this is 3D soldering. It's not just the same as soldering a flat panel. We're going to be doing soldering in 3 dimensions. So now, of course, I've got my iron heated up. I add a little water to the sponge. Look how clean that sponge is. This must be a brand new one. And then I touch the sponge and clean off my tip, and it looks like I need to add a little bit of solder to the tip and tin it. So I'm using my Salamanic block with a little bit of solder. You only do this when you start and when you end. This is just to tin the tip. Get that nice bead of solder on there so it's kind of shiny. And then I'm going to clean it off. Okay, now to build the box properly, the first thing we want to do is tin the edges of all the copper foil. This makes our assembly go a lot faster. Now, tinning the edge just simply means that we are going to apply a very thin layer of solder to the edge. And then I come back and do the top. We're just trying to get a thin layer and avoid bubbles and drips. I put a little more flux on the back. Flux helps the solder stick to the copper foil by eating away a fine layer of the copper foil, and so it makes it super clean. We're going to do that on all of these, and the reason we do it is that as we put the box together, there are places that we would not be able to reach with our soldering iron, and it would be very difficult to get the solder in there. But we want everything to be covered and coated before we start the assembly process. When Jeannie was showing you how to put copper foil on, you remember she was burnishing the foil down, and you may notice here that some of the foil wrinkles up as I go across and apply heat. So burnishing it down was a really good technique for her to show you, because there is a tendency for this foil to want to come loose just from that bit of heat that we're applying as we tin it and get it covered with a solder. Another thing that she did was she left what she called a tag, a little bit of overlap of the foil, and that was good because the tag or the overlap allows 2 layers of foil where the junction is, and if that lands on a spot where we really require strength, then it's stronger than if we just went up to the edge and cut it straight off. Now I think I've got enough flux down now that I can, yeah, you see I've got enough flux on the board that as I'm soldering the front,
the flux is actually getting applied to the back as it spins around. So just run a bead of solder around the edge, not too much, and then run the iron quickly over the top. It's got enough solder for it to coat it. Notice I use the solder as a tool to keep the glass from sliding all over. Let me do a short, narrow one so you can see. This really comes in handy because the short, narrow ones try to travel on you quite a bit. And so just by using, the iron becomes one appendage and the solder tip becomes the other, because you sure don't want to touch it with your fingers. And if you do burn yourself while working, while doing the box construction, you can use essential lavender oil, which will take away the heat, and also it's got some antiseptic properties. Now I think when we were talking about our orange glass cutting oil, you can also use that to take away the heat, because it's an essential oil and it also has antiseptic properties in it. Now see how there's junk building up on my tip? If I just rub it on the sponge there, I get a shinier looking surface.
Now, thanks for being with us on this little adventure of tinning your stained glass pieces. Now, on the next video, we're going to continue further into more in-depth instruction.